Hi, my name is Elena Comrie, and my presentation is on disability discrimination. So the definition of discrimination, for those of you who don't know, it's someone who is unfairly treated because of something about them. So, for example, black people are discriminated against a lot because they're black, and it's called racism. And women, as another example, they're discriminated against a lot because they're women, and there's a whole thing about how women aren't equal to men and stuff. And it's getting better, but it's still going on. Some examples of discrimination against someone with a disability is the person with a disability can't play on a sports team, play for a music band or group, eat at a restaurant, go to a store, or even in some cases go to school. The Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 is a law that says that discrimination against anyone with a disability is illegal, but all laws are broken. So, for the definition of a disability is a mental or physical illness that limits a person's senses, movements, thoughts, etc. Dyslexia, ADHD, and Down syndrome are the three most common kinds of disability. Dyslexia is when a person gets words, letters, numbers, etc. mixed up. They have a lot of trouble with things like school, and especially reading. ADHD is when a person is abnormally hyperactive. This has to do with the difference in the brain. Dyslexia and ADHD are both mental disabilities. Down syndrome is a mental and physical disability because it's not only just a difference in the brain, but it also makes the person look different. If you have Down syndrome, when a person has Down syndrome, they can't talk properly. Their words are kind of slurred, and they don't think as well. They're really smart, but they just don't know how to communicate. So they're just like any other person. They're just like any other non-disabled person. They're just not good at communicating because they can't. They physically can't communicate. The physical difference is that they have a flatter nose, smaller mouth, and smaller ears. And then the thing is, when a person thinks of a disability, they think of more extreme things like wearing glasses or being deaf or Down syndrome or being in a wheelchair or something. But a disability can be just as common as wearing glasses. That's a disability. So just some statistics on people with disabilities in poor countries. And also just not in poor countries. So 15% of the world's population has a disability, and that's about 1 billion people. And there's 7 billion people in the world, and 1 billion people have it. 57 million people in the US have a disability. 20% of people in poor countries have a disability. So 20%. So that is a lot of people in poor countries with a disability. And this is because the mother, when she's pregnant, she already can't really take care of herself because she's poor. She's too poor. And she gets pregnant because she's raped or because she just because. And, things happen. And she is doing drugs already, and she drinks. She's probably alcoholic because of her living situations. And when she has baby, she doesn't quit. And so the baby grows, and it grows disabled because the alcohol and the drugs does that. And so then when she has the baby, it's disabled. And 1/3 of street kids are disabled, and this is basically caused because of the same thing. Mom's pregnant, the baby turns out disabled, but in this case, she can't take care of it, and she just puts it out on the street. 98% of children in developing countries don't go to school. Developing country is just a poor country. So 98% of children in 98%, so that is almost every single kid with a disability. 2% of kids with a disability actually go to school in poor countries. 2%. And so this is because most kids, even if you don't have a disability, you most likely won't go to school. And so if you have a disability, you're almost guaranteed not to go to school, because if you are disabled and you need something like, for example, a wooden leg, that costs money, and your parents are going to have to put all their money that they have into that. So even though a disabled person has to work 10 times harder than the rest of everybody else, humanity still thinks that we should discriminate against them and beat up disabled people and rape them. And the fact that some people take advantage of people with a disability, like in rape, it's gross, it's sick. And rape is a whole nother topic, and I won't get into that, but I have some 3 real life examples of discrimination. So the first one is a woman she's at a airport, and she's in a business suit, so she's probably going on a business trip, and she's in a wheelchair, and then some person walks past her and drops a quarter in her coffee cup. So I feel like this person meant well, but kind of the fact that people think that people with a disability are so like helpless is basically just a discrimination within itself. My second example is a little girl at school looks at pictures of her classmates and divides the pictures into 3 groups: girls, boys, and handicaps. Handicaps should not